Today I'm talking with director Adam Jumba and star Jack Alcott about their new movie Lone Rider, which is playing at the Dances with Films Festival in Los Angeles on June 28th. If you're in the area, you can buy tickets to the screening via the link in the description below. The movie's like a Bruce Springsteen song come to life about a young man desperate for connection who steals his dad's car and goes on a local odyssey to tie off the loose ends of his life. It's a really introspective movie with a great script and some world-class acting performances. Check out our chat. It's got some great indie film stories that I think you'll really enjoy. If you do, give the video a like, subscribe, and leave a comment. It helps the channel get bigger, and the bigger it gets, the more cool guests I can get. Okay, without any more hullabaloo from me, this is Adam Jumba and Jack Alcott. What's the story? Do you go, hey, I got a script for a movie, you should read it? Or does your manager, agent, who I assume smokes a cigar, kind of come up to you and go, hey, kid, you got to check this out?
You
What's
know
the
that new
story?
sound you've been looking for? Yeah, this is
Exactly.
college buddies.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, University of North Carolina School of the Arts. We did a sort of a short film version, but also
Proof of
proof of
concepts.
concept, sort of almost prequel, like
Mhm.
um, to this film in I guess it was our senior year.
2019.
That
Yeah.
was a long time ago. And yeah, and when did you come to me with the script? He came to me and was like, "Hey, remember that thing we did?" And when we shot that, you were like, "I would love one day to like make this into a feature." And I was like, "Sure, hell yeah, dude, that's cool." And then years later, he was like, "Remember that thing? You want to do it?" And I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." It was that. I guess sort of generally simple on my end. I'm much more involved on Adam's side of things, co-writing and
Mhm.
going through a million, drafts. No, I didn't see any of that. I just was like, yeah, I'll do it. And yeah, it was fairly simple on my end.
Yeah.
Well, then, Adam, tell me about, like, I don't know, is it a thing where you've got a chance to take a old project out of mothballs, so to speak, or what made you go, oh, this has to be the next one?
Yeah. I'm definitely always kind of working on, at least at that time, a couple scripts at the same time. And I think like most writers, I'll have like sort of like, on my notes app, just like all of like my movie ideas and some will last. There's some that have been in that notes app for like 10 years where I'm like, I know I'm making this someday. I just have to be able to raise like $50 million. So it's probably not going to happen right out of college. But most of the movies from that list, for some reason or other, just end up leaving that list. I fall out of love with it. I realize it's not the movie I want to make. I realize somebody else would make it a million times better because it's more relatable or whatever. But there's just something about this feature that just felt very doable for a first feature. Like the locations, like marina, football stadium, they were all things that I knew that I could get could get if I shot it in my hometown. And um, there's no like big explosions or stunts. There's one or two scenes that have like a lot of extras, but for the most part, it's just like Jack and one other person or maybe two other people. So long story short, it felt like a very doable movie, and I knew I wanted to make a feature like as soon as I got out of college and before I turned 30 was a goal of mine. I wanted to do a feature, and I was like, you know what, this is the most doable one. I've already made a proof of concept for it. Just seemed to make the most sense.
Um, are either of you car guys?
I've become more of a car guy through the making of this movie for sure. Um,
So why specifically an '89 Mustang? Is that the car that was laying around, or was it like it's got to be this specific car? Because it's a solid car, but it's not like a glamorous golden Trans Am or
Not a sexy. It's not a sexy vehicle. It looks great with the top down, but
yeah,
it sort of looks like a box.
yeah. What's called a
What?
Fox body is like the yeah. the specific model of the Mustang, but because it's supposed to look like Fox Fox. Um, I did always have this specific car in mind. I didn't know if I was always going to get this specific car because it's actually like it's not like a super rare, oh, it's worth 40 grand kind of car, but it is a rare car to find. And I found it just from literally just I knew I wanted it to be a car from the 80s, like a sort of vintage retro car, because it just felt like that's what Tyler would drive. So I literally just scrolled through hundreds and hundreds of cars, and something about this one just felt right. And somebody nearby in Pittsburgh ended up having this exact same car. I knew I wanted it to be white. I knew I wanted it to be convertible. When this guy in Ohio ran this farm that was just picture cars, there'd be like 20 ambulances, 20 police cars. So any movie in Ohio, Western PA that was made in the last 20 years, I guarantee you this guy, I think it was Dan's Movie Cars, I think was was his name. And I was like, any chance you have any cars from the 80s? And he's like, oh, I got one, but you're probably not going to want it. It's a 1989 Fox body white Mustang convertible. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. You know what? I don't even want to rent it. How much if I just buy it from you? So it's my car. So
Nice. Um, Speaking of, the idea of wanting to make a movie, wanting to make your feature by the time you're so and so age, and that's kind of, a big part of the theme of this movie, the idea of life passing you by and kind of putting your foot down. Is there an autobiographical slant to this movie, or is everything you write just inherently autobiographical? That word.
Yeah, I will say when I first started making this movie, 100% was not, did not see it in an autobiographical lens. The first spark of this movie actually came when I was in community college a year before we met, and I was sort of dozing off in English class, and I saw this picture of a still from Raising Arizona, the Coen Brothers movie. There was the guy on the motorcycle, and I sometimes I'll see an image or something that's inspiring, and I'll be like, oh, what would a movie about this thing be? And I sort of just had this idea of a movie of a guy who internally was very trapped and walled off and closed in, and he would fix that. The found that in his mind, at least, the solution to that problem was to be sort of physically free, like go on road trips and sort of just drive around endlessly and take midnight drives with no destination in mind. None of those things I would say really are me. But over time, I would say it became more and more autobiographical, and definitely the sort of Pennsylvania elements of the movie and it taking place around like my hometown and my home state sort of crept in more and more as I realized that like a lot of the characters were sort of just reflections of like my friends. A lot of the marina scene where Tyler works in I didn't work there very long. It was only like 2 months, but that was my first job was at that exact marina that we shot in. So little by little, it became more autobiographical. That wasn't the goal from the start, and I still wouldn't say it was truly an autobiographical film, but um, definitely had more and more elements of that pick up over time.
When you're shooting in these places where you basically grew up, do the locals have like oh, little Adam done good. He's growing up and making a movie. Did, any, did anything like that
Um,
happen?
I wouldn't say every scene, but definitely anyone that was related to like my high school. There's a scene that ended up getting cut that was at literally at my high school in like a classroom that I had English class in.
I
Um,
forgot about that.
yeah, that was an
Oh man.
early cut. I was like V2, I think we cut that.
Yeah.
So, um, and then we shot at my high school football stadium. So any high school related ones, I would say, yeah. And then the party scene at the end of the movie was at the my neighborhood where I grew. That was the house I grew up in was in that house, but I hadn't been there in like 6 7 years. And I noticed that some neighbors kind of came out on their lawns and were sort of just crossing their arms, watching it. And my dad was on set, and he kind of just went neighbor to neighbor and was like kind of filling them in because they didn't really know what was happening because I'd been gone for so long. So I wouldn't say it was like that for the whole movie, but there was some parts where that sort of stuff crept in.
Jack, tell me about the idea of making this movie with your friend, and were there moments where you have ideas for the character, and Adam, are you tremendously precious about your script? Are you like, no, read the words that I wrote? He's like, well, but what if I kind of do it like this? And what's your dynamic? What's your rapport like?
We fought every day.
One of the things that attracted me to this was that I got to make it with my friend, and I think Adam is a great collaborator and a very 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 good director. And there was a lot of just sort of implicit trust that was there from history, and like I had technically played this character
Mm.
before, like, and
It helped a
so
lot for sure.
that and so there definitely was a lot of, we might talk about a scene before for a bit, and there were certainly moments on set where Adam would come in and be like, let's try one where we approach it from this direction, or if you just can, have this, maybe this thought's a little more present here. But for the most part, he kind of just let me run with it. And that goes for the writing as well. There were tweaks on set, there was improvisation, there were times that I brought something in and said, hey, like this chunk of text feels like a little, I'm not sure I would say, like, can we bend this a little bit? And the answer was always yes. Like there was a lot of, it was a very, very fluid um process in sort of bringing it from the page to, out of my mouth, which was
Uh,
nice.
bring me back like to the beginning of like what was there something that you worked on? Was there a class? When did you guys go, oh, I think we're gonna be pals?
Hmm. Well, the first thing we ever worked on was that proof of concept for my second year film with the farm kids.
What did I do on that?
You were the older
I
brother.
was the older brother, yeah.
Oh, but I guess we did do a
I
couple directing
totally knew that.
assignments.
Wait, no, the thing with Claire and
Yeah,
Christian with the hot
that might have been
coffee.
the first
That
thing.
was the first,
We
yeah.
worked together a lot in
That
college.
cemented
So,
our, the genius collaboration that would go on forever. It's like this, it was this ridiculous directing assignment that he got where I don't remember what the assignment
it
was,
was just make something under a minute with no dialogue.
and it was this comedic scene where there's a guy and a girl on a date, and this other dude works at the coffee shop, and I was that guy, and he just has the hots for the girl that's on the date, so he tries to just get rid of the guy. And there are like 1,000 takes of me spilling like hot coffee, like tripping ridiculous, and just like throwing hot coffee in dude's face. It's our friend Christian Muller, who every time would just shriek. And there's is it still on YouTube? There's somewhere on the
Somewhere,
internet.
yeah.
There is like
And it's
just
really just water. It wasn't actually hot coffee, but
there's acting.
so he had to pretend. Yeah.
There's a compilation of like it's not the assignment. It's just a compilation of all the times that I threw water on Christian's face and he screams, and because no one could keep it together.
Yeah.
So that was
That's when we
foreshadowing.
knew. That
That
was
was
when we knew.
yeah.
We're like, we're gonna make a feature together in 8 years.
Yeah.
Um, so you're working on this movie together. What's the schedule like? I mean, I know some movies get, you know, 10 days to shoot 90 minutes of movie. How long did you have?
We shot, I want to say it was broken up a little bit. So I want to say collectively say uh, I don't know. It's because it was a couple half days. I'm trying to think if I combine them. I would maybe say like 13, 14 days. I think is the answer. Um, yeah, I'd say like 13 days. Yeah, we shot very out of order. We sort of had to
Mhm.
just deal with the cards we were dealt, and so, some days we would shoot two scenes, like two locations. It'd be like morning we're shooting like the beginning and act one where you like are sort of just figuring things out and you don't really know how the movie's going to end, and then we're going to jump to like the ending where you have the super dramatic scene where like your journey's coming to an end. Oh, and then tomorrow we're just doing like driving B-roll. So we were like jumping kind of all over the
There's
place.
there's nothing like crossboarding.
Yeah, with the story. But I think that we had spent so much time, not necessarily rehearsing, but just kind of like talking about like
Mhm.
the script. And I remember like on the prep week when you got in, I was like, what's like the best thing I could give you when we shoot? And you were like, if you just always remind me where we are exactly in the story,
In
like
time, yeah.
what led up to this, not the whole story, but just like what immediately
Mhm.
preceded this, it'll help a
What am I
lot.
coming into the scene with?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't
Uh,
mix anything up because that
mhm.
would be typical of me.
Which you could say for any project, but I think especially with this and how much we jumped around. So, and I honestly, I feel like I still do that now, in projects I've done since. I think that's a good thing to translate for any project you're doing. So,
And kind of, in assembling this, and Jack and being like on board, from the jump, with the writing and everything. I've heard it said that writing is like acting, like it's like you're acting out a one act or one man show while you're writing it. Um, and I've also heard that a little rehearsal goes a long way. So how much time did you have before the camera started rolling, and was it like, oh, we can get our shots like that because you know it inside and out, and because you're in like every friggin' scene?
mhm.
I mean, I think, yeah, preparation wise, I don't know how long before we started shooting I had the draft that you sent me. I must have had it for, I don't, forever. But like the draft that we used,
Mhm.
um, a few months before we started, I maybe.
Mhm.
But I mean, there kind of wasn't really any rehearsal that I can remember.
Mhm.
Um, it really, because I mean, I think if you do something that's very, very action heavy or, has really intensely complicated blocking, camera moves, I guess we did rehearse the marina sequence, but that was sort of rehearsing for camera because that was such a,
Well, that was day one of the shoot too.
yeah, no, that
Mhm.
was that was a cluster. But like from an acting standpoint, at least from my perspective, I think in a story like this, in a movie like this, where all of the all of the moments that the audience is going to receive from me, at least, they're not grand. They're not these massive moments. They're usually in between the lines. Um, it's and for me, so to prepare for that, it was just like I want to know how this character kind of generally feels, like the place that he kind of sits in. What's his everyday kind of vibe? What's that feel like? And other than that, it's just, take that, be in the space. We got it rolling. We got other people saying their lines. I say my lines, or there's no lines, and I'm just driving. It is just sort of inhabit the world that we've created. So I think all the preparation was creating the world, because the little moments, being on the porch with my dad when I give him the beers and ask him those sort of vulnerable questions and receive nothing. Um, you can't rehearse that. Like that is something that, you know, came up in the moment. Like I think that's the whatever take we use, it's probably the first one. Like it was me just saying my line and then watching Michael Gaston, you know, give me what he gave me, which, in words was nothing, but like on his face, pain, man. Like there was no rehearsing the like, oh, and then Tyler is, sad. Like it just was all I had to do was look at Michael, was look at my father. No, that guy's my dad. And he just, handed the performance to me, just like the driving scenes, like the highway hands you your performance. Like it's not on green screen. I don't have to generate anything. It just is kind of know who the guy is and know where to stand and then just be in the place and listen to the people around you and hopefully something cool comes of that.
Yeah, I mean, from what I understand, a big part of acting, the difference between like an actor who reads the lines and an actor who really gets into the character is just kind of going to these emotional places that most people try to avoid, like with everything we have, and you have to just live there. So it's one thing to write it, and then it's another thing to have to do it on set for 10 takes or for however many time, days it takes to get the scene. Adam, how do you direct that? Do you just have to have faith in your actor? Do you go give me more sad? What's the, tell me about directing an emotionally raw scene that it's like the introverted, like I don't want to get too much into it, but it's like Jack, your character, their epiphany is to like be a little bit more extroverted, put themselves out there, and like you said, sometimes you just get nothing back.
Mm.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think a big part of it was sort of like reflecting on like when you when you asked to like kind of remind you where we were in the story. I correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like that was more so in the sense of like, oh, we're shooting so out of order, so we just want to make sure like continuity wise, like character growth
Mhm.
continuity wise, not like
Yeah,
where
where am I at with this person? What
yeah.
conversations have happened? What do I
Mhm.
not? What information do I know? Do I not know?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, I think like an added benefit to that too is like, sad moments don't just come in this story like out of nowhere. They're motivated by things that happened earlier. So
Mhm.
if we're sort of spending our time reflecting on like where we got to each moment, it's a lot easier, um, at least I think in our experience to get to that level of emotion of sadness or loneliness or depression that you need to if you can um, sort of identify the crux or the nucleus of that because
Mhm. Yeah, you
um,
know where it came from.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was sort of like constantly going over like where we were and how we got there had a lot of benefits that maybe we didn't even realize from the jump. So yeah, not only reflecting on the here and now, but reflecting on like yeah how we got here. I think played a long way. Went a long way.
And for a character that is so, in love with the past, for a
Hmm.
character that spends so much time in nostalgia and memory, he's so fixated on the past to
Hmm.
like, as an actor and director, kind of be doing the same thing.
Yeah.
It's helpful.
Uh, I know that you've got a couple of big screenings coming up. Have you been able to show the movie to a crowded room yet? As of this, how did it go?
It was good. We had our world premiere, I guess what, 2 months ago now. The River Run International Film Festival, or maybe 1 month. No, I guess
Semi
we'll say
recently.
somewhere between 1 and 2 months.
Yeah.
As in mid-April. We had our world premiere River Run. We had two screenings, which was great. The first one was sold out. We were the first movie to sell out at the festival. We had a pretty great
Only movie to sell out.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we were a pretty great turnout, and yeah, I would say it was a good screening. A lot of great questions afterwards. Some surprisingly challenged questions. Sometimes when you hear audience asking questions, you're like, oh, it's just going to be like, what was your favorite scene, and what's your favorite this, and did you guys order that pizza that I know is near that location? It's great, but sometimes audience members will ask questions that's just like how like. I'm trying to think of like what there was some tough questions for sure, or some very hyper specific questions like why did you put the camera at that specific angle in that specific shot? And I'd be like, uh,
Well, this is
um,
the type of movie that I think facilitates those questions because
mhm,
it is a little bit of a tone poem and it is hyper specific in a lot of ways and then sort of very generally, kind of vibey in other ways. It's reflective.
mhm,
It's not a super clear. It kind of exists in a lot of spaces. I feel like those are usually the movies that you get funky questions because
mhm,
it's not the like, what was it like shooting this thing?
mhm,
There's just you end up a little more nuance because you either have questions about what just happened or it's
yeah,
facilitated some sort of other conversation
mhm,
about the character, about the feelings that the movie elicits.
yeah. Well, and that's not a complaint, by the way. If anything, I'd prefer the deeper
Oh,
questions.
yeah. No, those are
Um,
more fun.
I apologize then.
No, you have
Well,
my favorite questions ever.
oh, thank you. Well, so when you are shooting something like this, tell me about as a director not wanting it to look like a stage play. Like when do you kind of pull back and have like that wide shot to just let the dialogue speak for itself and let the characters exist in the space? And then when do you want to either pull out or like go for like that extreme close up to make it something that you can't see when you're reading the script?
mhm. Well, we always saw this movie as being like, even though Tyler doesn't actually like narrate the movie, like there's no audio track of Tyler telling the story, we always kind of, at least I did, approach this, and the key crew approach this story as if Tyler like is the narrator telling it to someone. So every time we would make a creative decision, we would always ask ourselves, like, if it was a cinematography related question, like, okay, if Tyler was the cinematographer, what camera angle would he pick for this? Or like, what would the color palette be for this if he's trying to communicate this story to someone else? So a lot of times, if there was like an extreme wide versus an extreme close, it sort of came from us putting ourselves in Tyler's shoes. Like, did he kind of see this scene as being a very intimate, vulnerable moment for him? In which case, oh, let's punch in. Or maybe it's a moment where it should be, but it just wasn't that. Like, if you notice when he's talking with his dad, we don't, on the porch scene that he
Mm.
referenced. He's trying to be vulnerable and he's trying to be open and connect with his dad, but we intentionally framed it, or cut it in a way where it's either Tyler or his dad. We never
We
go to a
never get in there.
go to a
Yeah.
two shot of them together, because we felt that Tyler didn't feel that they were connected in that moment. So that's what sort of would dictate the shots and the angles. Yeah.
And I mean, it's a really wonderful movie. I think like the thesis for me is not to spoil anything, but when he says, maybe you don't need to hear this right now, but I need to say it.
Mm.
Mhm.
That's like where he's at in his life. There's sometimes there's just things you got to get off your chest, right?
Mhm.
Uh, and I feel like making, and based on talking to you guys, making this movie was kind of that moment for you of just you needed to do it just to because it needed to be done and you needed to be the ones to do it.
It's funny that you point out that line too. You probably don't remember this, but when we were on set, I had said that if there's one movie that wraps, because we probably went over so much direction for that scene, the porch scene,
Mhm.
but I had said at one point, if there's one line that sort of captures the lesson of the whole movie the most, it's that specific line.
Mhm.
So,
Oh yeah.
you better nail it,
Don't screw that up. Yeah.
or we will do a million takes, which we didn't have because remember it was starting to like
Start.
thunder.
Yeah. There's.
Oh yeah, it was like, not only do you have to deliver your best performance in the climax of the movie, but we
We
only got
got. Yeah.
so yeah. So it's funny that you identified that line, but I'm happy with it how it turned out for
Mhm.
sure.
Mhm.
So
And kind of from that, just like a last question, when you're an indie filmmaker and you're putting, you've got the plan of what the movie's going to be, and then maybe it'll rain, or maybe the person in charge of the location will just suddenly go, what if you pay us double? Did you ever have you know, any extreme pivots that changed a scene or changed maybe even the whole movie? Anything that you had to adapt to that you're particularly proud of? The idea of, well, I wanted to do this, but we had to do it that way, and it wound up working out. Or regrets of like, oh god damn
yeah,
it, I wish I could have done it that way.
I'm sure there must be.
Feels like the shooting experience was just a giant series of pivots. Like, because everything always goes wrong, like on movie sets in general. Not because there were massive disasters,
mhm,
really. I don't think there were any massive disasters or like losing a location at the last second, but like
mhm.
there was always something happening, which is, yeah, I think
Yeah,
just classically indie. I think pretty par for the course. But yeah, I don't know if I can think of one ginormous like or one standout like like
yeah. I
jazz
mean, there's
music
scenes that we
stops
there's
like
scenes that we cut and moments we cut because we felt like they maybe didn't necessarily turn out the way we wanted, or maybe they did, but we felt like they did more harm than good to the story, like they disrupted the flow, or maybe there was a nice cohesion except for that one moment. Um, but I think it was like not not a few big things that we pivoted. It was like a million tiny things that
mhm,
pivot. So I think that's why it's hard to identify them, because it was like every little thing was a bit like like the when we were at the football stadium, and it was like really, really cold, but it was like a summer movie, and you sort of had like kind of warmer clothes on, but Steven, who plays Johnny in the movie, had just like a t-shirt and shorts and was just like
Dying.
brutally freezing.
Yeah.
And so we were just like, okay, we'll just give him a jacket, and we'll just play up that it's like a colder night. Like, put your hands in your pockets as you're walking, maybe have like one or two shivers, and it's just one of those early summer nights that's
One of
just,
those Pittsburgh nights.
yeah, that's colder than it should be. Um, so yeah, I feel like the answer to your question is yes, there's a million of them, but um, I don't know if any of them have like a huge drastic change to the movie, which is a
This is a
blessing, I
blessing,
think,
yeah.
that surprisingly no like um, major issues. We did have a location, the fire pit location we changed. That was supposed to be
Oh,
kind of more in the woods,
forgot about that. Yeah.
whereas we kind of did it more just like in like a
In the
backyard where the
backyard.
house is
I
right
love
there.
that.
But
Yeah.
I think it worked
Yeah,
well.
I think
So
I like it the way that it is better than it would have been in just woods. It would have been cool too, but that felt,
hmm
I don't know, a little more personal.
hmm
Now they
yeah,
have a fire in the woods. Like
yeah.
in somebody's backyard. Like
So yeah.
Well, fantastic. I also laughed at the line Western PA. Never heard of
Yeah.
it.
Uh,
Um, well, gentlemen, thank you so much for your time for the film. Um, congratulations on finishing it, first of all,
mhm.
and getting to all these festivals where I'm sure it is going to be tremendously successful, and you're all going to get crazy rich.
I like that sounds nice. That's
Yeah.
yeah,
Emphasis on the
let's
last
do
part.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. The other stuff was cool, but yeah. No.
Yeah, I mean, that's not why we do it, da 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 da,